All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of the My Card Post podcast, The Art of Trading Card Deals. My name is Mark Hill. I'm the founder of My Card Post, the hobby's first and only community-based trading card marketplace. My guest today is JD, is a friend of mine who's also one of the co-founders of Card Hedge, which is a very powerful pricing guide and marketplace or collection platform. So, JD, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
What's up, buddy? Thanks for having me, man. I'm
Yeah, man.
good stuff. I'm excited to talk with you, and you and I talk quite a bit as it is, so we'll put our
Always.
faces on on a podcast and have a little fun. So let's get after it, my man.
Absolutely. I appreciate being here. I'm still figuring out this whole podcasting thing. So,
All good, man. All
yeah.
good.
But hey, before we kind of get into Card Hedge or want to spend most of
Yep.
our time kind of talking about that, I'd love to just for people, I know you're on, you have your own
Yep.
podcast and a couple others, but for
Yep.
people just to understand, your hobby story and, how you guys got started here
Sure.
launching Card Hedge.
So, talk cards for a little while. I kind of like most of us, right? I'm 42. I started collecting as a kid, like hardcore animal. Didn't really understand because you're a kid that there was like 30 billion 90 Don Ross being printed and things like that. And, things you don't know when you're a kid is probably best kept that way. But I always just enjoyed I had a little lawnmower business. I'd cut some neighbors' lawns, and then I'd immediately, take that money every week. And we had a card shop up the street from me. I'd hop on my bike right up there, and I'd either buy packs or singles or whatever it was, right? And at the time, like 91, 92 ish, Shaq was coming out. So like Classic had this like set with him and Alonzo Mourning and a couple other guys. And there was potential to get Shaq autographs. So I was buying like boxes of the Classic stuff, and of course never hit any of it. But from there, got into middle school, high school, like probably sophomore year. I really put cards to bed. I made one last final deal in high school. This was actually a classic story. My buddy had a 1956 Topps Ted Williams.
Wow.
And he had it forever. It was the only card he had. And I always used to try to buy it off him for $10. And because I knew he didn't know what the hell he had. So I was like, dude, I'll give you $10. Give me $10. So we get pizza late night or whatever. I'm like, dude, if you want a slice, it's going to cost you that Ted Williams. So we would never budge. Well, one night we were out coming back from the bars or something. No, not the bars. That was not in high school. So we were coming back from a party or something. And he smoked. And I had his cigarettes. I hit him on them. And I was like, I'm not telling you where your cigarettes are unless you trade them. So I've traded his own pack of cigarettes for that card. It was like, it was great. But anyway, so I had that card, and then that was it for high school, college, and my like early 20s. And then I got married, and I don't know how, but got the itch, got back into collecting. I was a big Bryce Harper guy, and like was following his journey all through high school and this and that brought me back into cards. And I was hooked for quite a while, like mid to late 2000s. And then my twins were born in 2010. So I'd say by 2012, my wife was kind of giving me the old evil eye of like, cut the crap here. So I went into retirement again. And I'd say over the next 8 years, I would dip my toes in. I'd buy some packs if I had one of her nieces or nephews or whatever. It was a perfect excuse to like buy them a couple packs and myself a couple
with
packs.
The kids.
Yeah. And I always kept like my Michael Jordan cards and some other baseball cards like my Nana had given me as a kid and things like that. I always kept those. But then what happened 2020, Kobe Bryant died. I can remember this day. clear as anything. I
Yeah.
remember exactly what I did. Pulled into my driveway, parked my car, and I got like a doo-doo-doo, like ESPN alert. Breaking news: Kobe Bryant and daughter rumored to have died in a helicopter crash. And I was like, what?
No way.
So I'm like looking, and I'm like, oh my God. And then, like, sick brain me, the first thing I did, I didn't come in and tell my wife. I didn't come in and say anything. I didn't call anybody or text any of my buddies. I got on eBay and bought like 4 of his rookie cards.
Yeah.
Like that was the first thing I did. And then I told my wife. And then from there, I kind of like bought some Kevin Garnett cards, and then I was buying some Michael Jordan stuff. And then the packages started to show up a little more frequently. And my wife one day was like, I came in like this with like some packages, and she's like,
yeah, nail day.
She's like, is this a thing again? And I said, no, not really. And she's like, this better not be coming out of our account. And I was like, no. So I said, you know what? I'll start my own card account, and that there'll be no more, whatever. And I've been hooked, man. Like, back hard, like not going anywhere ever again. I love it.
Exciting.
And I'm thrilled with like kind of how my story has unfolded with joining Card Hedge and owning a piece of a business, which is crazy to me. But that's the card side of it,
So you joined. So Card Hedge was already kind of happening. And
so Card Hedge was 1 month old in April of 2020. I saw an Instagram post because I had been looking, like I always liked the pricing stuff. I loved Beckett back in the day.
Yeah.
And I was like, I started doing some spreadsheets, and I was like, there's gotta be a better way. There has to be. It's 2020. So I found Market Movers.
Yep.
And I got on, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I was looking at the, whatever the site and this and that. And I was like, $49.99. What the hell? I'm like, is there every card like in existence? Like, what's going on here? So I was like, what else is out there? So then I saw a thing for Card Ladder. I was listening to Chris and Josh on their podcasts and things like that. I really like listening to those guys. So I downloaded that app or whatever website, or I don't know what the hell they released. I can't remember if it was the app, but they had a limited number of cards, and I'm not a high end collector. I guess you'd call me like a blue collar collector. Like I'm like, I think $2,500 is probably my max. And I'm really comfortable 500 and down. Like that's really where I like to live. So they didn't have a lot of cards. So I got frustrated, and I saw an ad on Instagram for this Card Hedge thing. I was like, what the hell is this one? So I messaged. At the time, I didn't know who I was messaging. Turns out to be my future business partner, River. And he's like, hey, man, like, listen, I really appreciate you reaching out. Would you like to do some free testing and this and that? And give me some suggestions. And I was like, yeah, sure. He's like, yeah, I'll give you a free account. I was like, I'm in.
Say no more.
Yeah, free's my favorite price. So I started like giving him some suggestions and this, that, and the other thing. He's like, hey, you kind of know, like, it sounds like whatever. Either that or you're like a good BSer, and I happen to be a great BSer. But like, he's like, you want a job? And I was like, well, what are we talking here? Because I have a full-time gig. He's like, no, like part-time. And I'm like, yeah, what would I be doing? He's like, well, I need the database to get bigger as fast as possible. I was like, yeah, I can do that.
Like just data entry.
Yep. So what ended up happening there was I started off as basically an hourly employee for 6 months, 7 months, I don't know. And, took the database and doubled it almost within 3 months.
Wow.
Kind of have I'm not super tech savvy. Like I don't understand code and all that crap, but like spreadsheets and doing things quick and whatever.
Yep.
Like I've got that down to a science.
Efficient.
So then we had a conversation, and he's like, "Hey, basically, I'd like you to be my partner. This is
Wow.
what my offer is." And I was like, "No crap."
What a story.
And I'm keeping it PG for the
Yeah,
viewers.
yeah,
But like, so that happened. And then the rest is kind of history, man. We've just been working together. It's been him and I from the start, and we've added a
yeah.
couple partners with my buddy Lou, um, who knows a lot of industry people and has a lot of contacts that have opened some doors for us. And then we obviously added Omar,
Yep.
and purchased part of his channel and things like that. And we've been I'd say every month we're making more and more and more progress, and more and more and more people are
Yeah.
either knowing who we are now, because before nobody, you'd say Card Hedge and you'd be like, the heck's that?
Yeah.
But now it's like we have people reaching out to us,
Right.
which is really cool. So we've got no. Maybe I'm getting a little sidetracked here, but we're a self-funded company. We have taken no money to date. It's been 3 years. We've taken not $1 from somebody.
That's great.
We control everything. And we have not a lot of overhead. So everything we do is, for us. So it's cool.
Yeah.
It's
That's
really cool.
fantastic. So you've been
Yep.
at this for about 3 years. I'm curious.
Yeah.
I know you guys have. I think you have. I don't know how big your database is today. It's probably half a
Yep.
million or so. But where was
It
it when you
is.
started?
When I started, it was at 6,564. I
Wow.
just remember, and we are currently at 606,168 cards.
Wow.
And that's individual unique cards. One thing that
Okay.
we do differently to some of our competitors, we don't count each grade as a card. So a PSA 10 is like, we count a 2018 Bowman Shohei Ohtani number 49 rookie card as one card. And then in that one card, you get all of the data available for PSA, BGS, SGC, CSG, HGA, and RAW.
1 through 10, right? Like every
1 through
grade.
10. If there's a sale for it, you get it.
You have it.
And it doesn't matter. You don't have to pay extra to see like PSA or to see HGA or something. You get everything.
Yeah.
And that's how so when we add that one Bowman Shohei, it's really 40 to what 10
I mean, a lot.
times. Yeah, it's a lot, right?
Depends on the pop reports for each one of them.
Right. But when you think about it, if you counted it by grade, 10, whatever, BGS, SGC, and CSG have a different grading system.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just call it, there's potentially 60 potentially different versions of that card if we wanted to count it a different way, which would put our database well over 1.2, 1.4 million cards if we counted it that way. But we don't. We just count it as we add Mark Hill, and Mark Hill's rookie card for that, or data for that card is now Mark Hill's number one rookie card. So we've kind of like, we've obviously, we've grown now. We have 12 employees. It's people working on different aspects of some of our customer base. We can get into that in a little bit. I solely do our database. I'd say confidently, out of this 606,000, I've done 88 to 90% of it all.
Wow, actual entry.
Yeah, I'm like the wizard. Remember that movie with Fred Savage, and he's like playing Nintendo back in the day, and like he was like, his brother was like some video game wizard. That's me, baby. Like, just
that's amazing.
I figured out like a process, and I can load 10,000 cards if I had the time easily a week, like easily.
What is that
without even
process
trying.
like? I mean, are you getting checklists from sets, or are you just diving into sale data that you
So
get?
it depends. New stuff is obviously very easy. I mean, there's multiple websites. Um, then from there, it's a matter of finding checklists, or you know, making sure even when you find some of these older checklists that the numbers are right.
Yeah.
Um, that's usually the big problem with some of these insert sets back in the day. You know, one site may list it as number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, but it's actually 1T, 2T, 3T, 4T, and we don't get any
Right.
matches. And then I got to figure out why the hell aren't we getting any matches? And it's
Okay.
usually something with the name, the number, whatever. I mean, there's enough references out there to kind of pick and choose from and things like that. And there's a
Yeah.
few that are better than others. But that's generally how we do it. And obviously, Panini provides checklists that you can just download, and then we take their information and reformat it into our system's language, the way it's going to feed into the system. And like I honestly don't even like think about it anymore. Like when I first started, I made all kinds of mistakes, and
Right.
now I'm just like, I just sit here and I'm like, woo, I can, whatever.
Just it's like yeah, piece of
It's
cake.
second
So is
nature.
it, I
Yeah.
guess I would imagine the more modern stuff is easier because it's probably coming to you like almost ready, already formatted from the
It
vendor.
is, but like here's the thing. Like River and I, when we first, 3 years ago, we had like a brainstorm session of like, what do we want to do? How do we want to be different? Um, and I said, we need to think like we want to become the modern day Beckett, the price guide, the collection management tool, whatever it is, the de facto, where if you want to manage your collection, we have your card, or we'll get your card in the system as fast as we humanly possibly can. So you have your card to see that data. And so we don't discriminate. Like we don't pick and choose what we add. If I go to add 2022 Bowman Chrome, I'm adding the whole checklist.
Right.
The
Whether there's been
problem
sales
there
or
is
not, right?
yeah. And what happens there though, with all the dang parallels, it takes a little bit.
Yeah.
Panini's up to almost 50 different parallels in basketball and football. It takes forever to then where you're talking at the end of the day, checklists over 18,000 cards per set. It's crazy, man.
Wow.
So those things take a little bit, but at the same time, like I said, we've got it down, and as River and I have gone, and we've customized tools on our back end to allow me and him to kind of finagle things quicker and this, that, and the other thing. But the big piece for us is our matching process. We have like an algorithm that he created that like really dials in on stuff. And it's pretty darn accurate. It's not,
Interesting.
I don't think anybody can sit here and tell you everything matches 100%, because the way you list your card on eBay could be completely different than the way I list my card on eBay.
Yeah. Naming
Yeah,
conventions, and that's always a
stupid
tricky
little
thing.
emojis, and
Yeah. Yeah.
those things screw up people. And no one will tell you this, but when you put those little graphs and the rocket ships and the fire emojis and whatever, that screws up people's feeds on the back end, because those cards don't load. So they sit
Interesting.
there until we go in and manually figure
Clean it
out
up.
what that. Yeah. Yep. So any of those
Interesting.
special
So
characters just sit there.
see, so people, they're nice. They might be
Yep.
catchy and help you get a little bit more attention, but
Yep.
let's
Yep.
be kind to the
Data
people that are
wise,
giving us
it's like
data.
it's tough, because it's like, again, those special characters don't match up to anybody's
Right.
anything.
You don't have
You
a
know what I
column
mean?
for
Yeah. Yep.
3 fire
So
cards. So
yep.
I'm curious, what keeps you more busy, like keeping up to date with the new releases of products that are coming out all the time, or trying to backfill history?
So I've already done baseball from like 19, like, well, there's some pre-war, but I believe we are complete major release sets like Bowman and Tops from like 30, I don't know, somewhere in the 30s to like 1990,
Wow.
complete sets.
Really?
Yeah. Now, as obviously, when Topps not kind of, when Topps bought out Bowman, it's pretty easy from there. It's just Topps, right? That's the major
Right.
release every year. And then there's variations and things like that. But like, and then there's oddball stuff. But like the major stuff, that the vintage stuff that people are always talking about and things like that, it's in there. And I started with that stuff on a lot of it because once it's in, it's in.
Yeah.
And I looked at it as, especially going back a couple years ago, I thought differently, right? We did not want to cater to the flippers because we felt there was a short shelf life on those guys. So we wanted to focus on building the best collection tool we possibly could for people. And that started with vintage because vintage is a huge, strong collecting community. And we
Yeah.
wanted to show people like,
Passionate.
we have your vintage cards in PSA and SGC, whatever. We have them here for you to house. They're here. Like, come check this out. And it was slow at first, man, getting that word out. But, and now, the Bowman's, when the Bowman sets come out, I stop what I'm doing. I load that in. When the top stuff comes out, I take care of that. And essentially right now what I'm doing is working on all the four major sports for the 90s, trying to finish that up. I'm just about done with all of the 90s for basketball. I'm in like 98 for baseball. I kind of slacked off on football for a while. I'm like in 1995 there, and I'm in like 1995 for hockey. But it's
And it's
key
just the
for
major
us to.
sports, right? Mostly, is that right?
So we have baseball, basketball, football, hockey, soccer, Pokemon, Garbage Pail Kids, Magic, Marvel,
Oh,
F1 racing, and other NASCAR racing, tennis, WWE, and MMA.
wow.
That's now the Garbage Pail Kids, Magic, Marvel, all that stuff that I just named. There's significantly less than there are
Yeah.
baseball cards and things like that,
Yeah, I
but
was
they're
gonna ask,
there,
do you have
and
a
we're building
percentage
them
of
out.
sounds like you probably have a lot of the baseball would be your
So
top.
baseball, out of that 606,000 cards, baseball is just shy of 240,000.
Wow.
Basketball is 140,000, just shy. Football is 90,000. Hockey is 52,034. Soccer is 65,471. So,
Wow. Do you have a sense of like where you are in this journey as far as like I don't know how many cards there are in total, but there's
oh
probably
God, there's
millions.
millions. There's millions.
Like, are
There's
you
millions of
10% of the
cards.
way there,
I have
30%?
I have no clue.
No idea.
I have no clue because like there's stuff I can go back to the 50s and 60s and start adding in some of the other oddball sets that were out there, like the Bond breads, which I actually think are in
Yeah.
there, to be honest with you. But like, there's different sets I can go back and do. And then obviously with the modern releases, they come out like while we've been talking, like 17 sets have just been released. You know what I mean? So like, you can't keep up on that end. Um, so what we've done is we've divvied up, like I do the 90s. I'm doing all like that stuff, the vintage stuff. River focuses on all the modern stuff minus baseball. I do all the baseball. Anything new though, basketball, baseball, and I do hockey. So modern new stuff, I do the baseball, I do the hockey, and then he does football, basketball, and the new stuff. Um,
Nice.
and that's how we've kind of split it up. And then the guys that we have do different things.
Right.
So
So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. I mean, you got to have this massive database because you're
yep,
getting all the sales data. I'm curious,
yep,
like, where are you getting all
yep.
the sales data from? And then, I mean, that in of
So yep,
itself is like a whole nother process of matching the data with the cards.
we yeah. So what we do is we have we eBay. We get the majority of our data from. That's where the majority of sales happen. We have partnerships with PWCC, My Slabs. My Slabs was one of our earliest partners. Those guys are great. They're doing great things too. You know what I mean? So we've always been friendly with those guys and love to support them. We've recently added. We're going to be. It should have already been live, but River's got 50 things to do. So we have Leland's auction house coming. We can get Golden. We can get what is the other one we get? Who else do we get?
Soon
We
to have
can
my card post as well. Data.
yeah, you know, like and well, we can talk about that in a second. There's a few other like up and coming stuff like yourself that we definitely want. What the heck's the other one, man? I don't even. That's bad. That's really bad. What we found is some people, some companies, and some of the auction houses are willing to play ball way more often and want to work with you than many others. I will say this, like the guys at Leland's, they're a New England-based auction house. I didn't know this at the time, but they were the first. And the guys I talked to there, probably the coolest person I've ever spoke to in my life. We talked for like 2 hours. A couple of New Englanders talking Sox, the Bruins, you know, local stuff.
That's my jam.
This guy was awesome. Like he is a phenomenal human being. And I really like what they're doing. They're trying to kind of reimagine their brand a little bit. And I like what they're doing. You know, they've realized like, all right, we got to pivot. We got to do some different things, and it's exciting to see. So anytime anybody that has data, we are immediately like, you know, radar up, and we, you know, want to partner.
Get the connection.
So, you know, because again, like, I think, you know, while eBay, let's face it, eBay is like 80%, if not more, of the sales. But it's important now to have these other partnerships and keep those partnerships going, because there are sales that take place on these different like yours for a variety of reasons, whether it's like your site, like saving money on the fees, My Slab saving money on the fees. People tend to take some of these bigger cards to sites like yours because they're going to maximize their $1,000 sale there, right?
Their return.
But at the same time, if no one's getting that partnership and that data, who the heck knows about it, right?
Yeah.
So
it's like a missed opportunity. And especially when you start talking about some of those higher end cards, which tend to be more rare, that don't, you know, they're not exchanging every weekend. You're seeing sales. They're not, you know.
And that's one. So I'm glad you just said that, because we don't have a lot of the auction house stuff, we tend to be lacking on the higher end stuff. And what we obviously will not give up, and we'll continue to try to form some of these partnerships. But what we've decided, like kind of internally, is, you know, the majority of people aren't in that sandbox. That's a smaller sandbox, right?
Yeah.
The sandbox you and I are playing in is crowded. You know what I mean?
A lot of
that's what we want to address. Everybody, or the majority, right? The as many people as we can hit with cards. That's what we want to do. We're not trying to cater to high end. We're not trying to.
It's
you know.
It's the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the you know, people are going to be interested in transactions or cards that are going within this range, whether it's you know, 0 to 2,500 or whatever it may be. And when you're talking about eBay, you're talking about like Terapeak, right? Because I think, you know, again, sometimes it's really hard to know, you know, what the best source of data is.
So when you, what do you mean with as far as eBay? Like,
Well, because I know eBay, they have their public one that we can just go on their website and go look at sold listings. But then there's this secondary path of data.
Yeah. Which I believe, I thought, so eBay in like, I don't know, 2021, early 2022, I think it was 2021, released like their second attempt at like a pricing tool. They had tried before and it went everybody gets access to it if you sell on eBay. I've looked at it a few times. I don't know what's going on there. So I'm like, yeah, whatever, cool. I don't ever look at it. If you have an eBay store, you get Terapeak. I sell mostly on eBay. So I have access to Terapeak. But we have an affiliate program with them and things like that. So we work kind of, the big thing for us is like the stronger the relationship we can build with our data partners, the better, because then data just flows cleanly.
Right.
And it's easier that way. You know what I mean?
Well, is it automated? I think how quickly does it go from a card selling
live
on eBay or
live? We are live. That's a difference for us. We are live.
Wow.
There is no delay.
Real-time feed.
Yep.
Interesting.
Where
how
we
far
don't
back
have
does your data go?
Right now, 3 years.
3 years.
3 years. We've actually struggled with this internally because I think it would be cool. We could offer like 15, 20 years of data.
Really?
And we've I don't know, like we've had these dialogues of, is it worth it? Is it not worth it?
Well,
it's such a different world now that how much do you really need to know what things were doing in 2018, right? Like the average card.
Yeah.
Now, some of the rarer cards, I can see where it's necessary, right?
But how relevant is it though? Because now you start getting into what was the market at that time versus what the market's now. I mean, I have my own interesting story. You probably remember. I actually have it right here. This Randy Moss. I just did a deal for this. Randy Moss rookie card, Interstate Refractor, and the deal was done. It was a partial cash trade deal on my card post, and was really struggling to find any comps or any understanding of that. I actually reached out to you personally to see if we could get some, is there any data anywhere? I can't find it. And I finally found some stuff that was from like 2022, but how relevant is something that happened in 2022, which when the market was still very high versus where the market is today. And, now you're in this conversation with another party around, well, it sold for X in 2022, but it's roughly 30% down market now. So, so it's an interesting, I don't know how valuable data would be from 22 years ago.
I agree. So like, that's why we've talked, like, should we go back to like 2018, right? But the hard part there is like, part of me is like, yes, we should, because when everybody's on YouTube making these videos of like, the market's crashing, cards are going to crap, burn all your cards, like it's over.
Yeah.
Cards are still way up from where they were pre-COVID, like way up, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there has been so much money put into the hobby. Now, while some of it has certainly evaporated, these values are staying kind of where they were at, right? Like Kobe's rookie card, his 96 tops, yes, it went up to $10,000 ridiculous dollars in a PSA 10.
Yeah.
But it's been hovering between like $900 and $1,000 for quite a while now.
That's one of my biggest L's in the hobby was buying that card and watching it go down over a few year periods. That's
I got kind of lucky on a couple of Michael Jordan cards. Everybody was pumping the Fleer, and I went and bought some star stuff from his rookie year. I couldn't afford the 101 there, but I bought the other three literally all in December, right before 2021. At the end of 2020, I bought all three. I I didn't buy anything for like forever. I just saved up, and I kept looking at them, and I had a bunch of cash, and I went, boom, boom, boom,
Pull the trigger.
and my wife was like, "Oh my God, you just spent like $3,000," and I was like, "Yep." And I took like a $500 purchase, and I sold one of them in a BGS 5.5 for $2,300 3 weeks later.
Wow,
I did not want to do it. Like I have a general rule of not selling Michael Jordan, although I do have one listed, but I have like 3 of them, so whatever.
Yeah, I know.
But I couldn't pass it up. I was like,
yeah, sometimes you just got to take your profits and run and maybe buy it again later. You know what I think would be interesting is we were talking about this, it's almost like the stock market index. What would be really interesting to see is like, people love to say like the 100-year history of the stock market. It goes up and it goes down and it's just like blood on the streets. And I think Warren Buffett is famous for saying the best time to invest is when there's blood in the streets.
Yeah.
Because it always comes back. And I think it would be really interesting to see a longer history of sports cards and maybe even specific cards if there was enough data over a 10, 20-year period.
We've built out at least the 4 major U.S. sports right now. I'm thinking we're gonna have to build a soccer one sooner rather than later, because I do think for the first
index,
time,
right?
Yeah, an index. I do think for the first time, soccer is legit now on the verge of really taking off in the U.S. with Messi here. I think like
good point.
The floodgates have opened. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, we do have those. You can go back. Let's see here. So you can go back on this basketball index. There we go.
And these are the ones you're saying that you could potentially go back 15 years?
No, they could if we opened up that area. Right now, the basketball goes back to when we created it, which was 2021. So you got 2 good years of data, and it just, that thing updates at the end every day.
Right. Yeah. As time goes on, it'll be interesting.
And if you look at it, wow, what's this?
But a lot of this stuff too is starting at like the peak of everyone kind of flooding the market and just like coming down. But it'll, as it rebounds back up, it's going to be really interesting.
What you call it here. You look at some of these things, like I'll give you an example, like football, you can really start to look at and see where the spikes and the dips are, like leading up to the season, in season, Super Bowl. Like you can look at it and just see it.
Or a hot streak in this playoffs or something like that. Matthew Tkachuk.
It's just nice to be able to see these cards and how they're performing over time. And because there's over, most of them are over, I can tell you right now, most of them are over. Every single index is over 150 different cards. So there's some really good difference there. You know what I mean?
And probably most of them are ones that, are pretty commonly transacted. To kind
of what we did was we took like iconic cards in each sport in their most liquid grade. So whatever whatever it was, either the pop report or our sales data, whatever we had that was the most liquid or the highest pop, that grade got put into the index, not like PSA 10 only, because some of these PSA 10s don't ever sell, or there's none. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we want to see, you could have like the PSA 9 Hank Aaron rookie card, and that's worth, I don't know, just call it 30 grand. But Mark Hill's buyer pool is like 5 people, right?
Right.
Where the PSA 5 is being sold daily at X amount. That's where you're going to see,
it's a much better.
So that's how we built that.
Interesting.
So
that's cool. Well, I think one of the last things we'd be curious about is, obviously there's people have choices, right? There's a couple of different apps out there. Some are more popular than others. There's probably some we don't even know about very well. But what differentiates, Card Hedge the most from some of the other ones that you think to share?
I think, for us, again, without knowing every up-to-date feature in either platform, because I don't pay attention to them. I would say what makes us different is we are legit trying to have as many cards possible in our database, because nothing is worse or more frustrating when I say, hey, go try Card Hedge, and you type in your card and it's not there.
Yep.
Now we've built in some features to kind of speed that process up of request the card, do this, do that, a similar card we might have in our database, whatever. That's the first thing. Like, we're adding, for a small company, I think adding an average of like 10,000 cards a week, just usually that has been done by me.
That's amazing.
I'm patting myself on the back for a second.
I mean, that's no small number, man. I'm thinking about 10,000 entries of stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
and keep in mind, I've got like a full-time job, 4 kids in sports, driving all over like a moron. So
just hitting that.
But we are, like I said, we have constantly refined that process down to it's like a well-oiled machine. It's just tough to kind of, it's easily repeatable. But when I train people, it takes, it's you
got to get into a rhythm.
Yeah.
Until, you're hitting, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. So that would be the first thing. The second thing is, I think with us, we don't discriminate with grades. So we don't when we add a card, like I said before, you're getting all of whatever we have available for that card. So you can compare it in a PSA 10 versus an SGC 10 versus a BGS 9.5 versus whatever raw. You can go and you can use our compare feature and do that. We have close to almost 50 million archive sales that we have a feature where if you're a paying customer, even if that card you requested is not in our database, you can use the price search feature and still get an idea of what that card is selling for or has sold for. So you do get a general idea. It's just not verified, right? And there are some things that we could talk about some other time that show you it's verified. But generally, like, you'd see like the slash through the best offer like you would on an eBay sold or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, from there, I think our thing is we are about as normal as dudes as you can possibly find. Those that watch,
I can vouch for that.
Yeah, like those that watch the Card Hedge podcast with Omar and I, you have a real good idea of who we are as people. I've started a baseball card only podcast with a couple of buddies. And again, I think you see who we are and who we kind of hang with and things like that. We are normal, everyday people, having fun, collecting cards, love the hobby and trying to make it a better spot and making like a really nice, easy to use collection tool that is for everybody, whether you're a kid, whether you're a 60-year-old man, whatever it is, right? It's the one thing we hear over and over and over again. Our app is well designed. It's easy to use. It's this, it's that. So we've really tried to pay attention to the details there. And so where we may lack some of like the data features of like being able to like predict prices and things like that, or some of these other things, we don't have wax prices. We just made a decision we weren't going to do that. Doesn't mean we won't in the future if people really want it. But our next move, little free information, is going to be comics. So we will add comics.
Very cool.
And so that's kind of that's what we're doing.
I mean, I use Card Hedge. I encourage everyone to try it out. I mean, you can try it out for free. I mean, I think you can go back 6 months without any subscription to the app or the data. I pay for it because I just love the history and all of that. And I like that there's a little bit of crowdsourcing elements to it as well, right? Where people can, if there's not a picture of the card and I have it, I can upload it.
Yes.
And, to be able to kind of help.
Yeah, there's that, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because that community piece, very similar to what you're doing, we also felt that was important. We want people to have feel like this is theirs, this is,
we're doing this together.
So we're going to continue to enhance that stuff. We've certainly don't stop. People email us all the time or message me on Instagram with, hey, it'd be cool if you could do this, or wouldn't it be great if you did that? And, for anybody watching, like you just mentioned, it's free. It's free to use. You never, ever have to buy it and subscribe to it. We give you 6 months of data for free. You just can't upload your collection. That's kind of where, people are like, all right, I'll pay now. This is worth it for me. And when they come on, the data shows they stick around for on average 5 months, which is really good retention. We'd like it to be longer, but with next to no marketing,
Well, and people come and go, right? People pop in the hobby for 5, 6, 7 months, and then life happens, and they pop out for a little while, and they come back, and I think that's normal.
And it's just more of we need to, very similar to yourself, you do a way better job than we do of getting your name out there. But we have some things in the works right now that are going to potentially, light a match. So it's really exciting stuff.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
that was going to be my last question. You mentioned comics, but are there any other things that maybe I noticed you just introduced trending, which was really cool, but is there any other on the horizon stuff that you wouldn't mind sharing? Or
sure. No, it's actually comical. We have a spreadsheet where River and I put all of our bright ideas on, and our mapping sheet, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And what generally happens is I have all these ideas and I just put them on there. He's like, dude, just put them on there. And then he goes and marks them high priority, whatever. And I started to notice there's a lot of low priority stuff getting, put next to my suggestions. So I was like, hey, what's up, man? What's going on here? And he's like, these are great ideas. He's just like, we got to do this. We had a real interesting time with our app developer. They promised us something in 6 months, and it took almost a year and a half.
I remember.
And then River essentially learned how to build the app himself. And basically we took it back and finished it, and he does all the work and maintenance and everything on it. So, which is great because it doesn't cost us any money at that point, right?
Right.
It cost a pretty penny to build, but it's going to be worth it for us in the long run, because you can use that and image. You're at a card show and you want to take a slab, any slab, not just PSA. You can do PSA, BGS, SGC, CSG, the 4 big dogs, right? You can hopefully get a price if it's in our database. So there's a lot of cool things going on. I think the trend piece was really cool. We could get into some price prediction, but we feel that is very slippery slope type stuff.
Yeah, that seems tough because a price can double or triple overnight if a player scores 4 goals.
Or drop by triple.
Or
overnight,
drop, Or could get hurt, Cole Caulfield, right?
Yeah, John Morant pulls out a gun, his card drops 50%.
Yeah, there could be anything that really makes that AI stuff.
So that's we do have something coming that I cannot unfortunately say.
Teaser. Stay tuned.
It is going to be epic. It is going to be a legit game changer. And I'm testing it in beta, and it's actually pretty scary.
Interesting.
So
I'm excited to see what it is.
It's going to be cool. And I think for that, though, the big piece is always trying to partner with people like yourself, right?
Yeah.
that adds
your
value, like on both ends, right?
oh yeah,
And one thing we've kicked around is like, how do we incorporate trades? Because when you and I first started talking, I was telling the guys, I'm like, hey, I met this cool guy. He's got the site, blah, blah, blah. And they have trading. And I said, this is exactly what I've been telling you guys someone needed to do.
you're welcome.
And I was like, it would be cool if we can start showing like the trades.
Trade
Now,
values.
what I can show you is, can I share my screen?
You can try. I'm a newbie at this, so.
All right, hang on. Let me see here. Yeah, I can. Hang on. All right. So you see Card Hedge, right?
I think I need to add it to the stream.
Oh, okay. Let me know when it's up.
Give it a
There you go.
second.
Yep, you're on. Okay. So watch this. All right.
I'm not
So
seeing it.
you don't see Card Hedge at all on the screen?
No. Oh, there you go.
Okay. So down the bottom, we have this ticker right here. It's hidden on my screen. But if I expand it, what that is showing you now is all the sales coming into our platform live, like a stock exchange ticker. Okay.
Wow.
So what we've been talking about is somehow reworking this ticker to show trades, like recently completed trades. Just something, but I will say this. I will say this. You need a partner with a site that allows trading to do that.
I might just know somebody.
Yeah. Odd,
Yeah.
right? So like that's something we've kicked around, which again, I don't know how much value that brings to people, but I think it's kind of cool. Like,
I think it is important. It is in trading scenario. I mean, oftentimes, well, for one, it might be a little bit easier because you're definitely agreeing on a value for the cards and exchanging them at that value, which is theoretically a sale, a comp, if you will. It can be a little bit more trickier if there's 5, 10, or 66 card trades like we've seen on our platform, which is
let's not forget the 27 card trade that started.
That's true. JD is actually a second place record holder on my card.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's fine. You and I were pioneers, so we were the first. So that's all we get. The statue.
That's right.
But no, like what I think would be cool is on that ticker, you click on that trade. You're like, oh, what's that? And it backlinks to your site, and then how you've made those upgrades. Now you can see the trade values, and you can see that completed trade, and you go, I got that card. I want to move that card. So that, and again, that's how I think we build these relationships with these companies of like yours and ours and things like that. That just strengthens the hobby when you have like-minded people working together. Yep. I just think it makes it a better experience for people. So that's where we're at. I wish I could share a little bit more, but if I said what we have coming out, I get in big trouble. So I can't.
No worries.
But it's close. It's very close. It's very close. So, and I think it's going to be really cool. So,
well, I'm looking forward to hearing about it and seeing it. I'm excited. You got me interested. Again, for those of you who are listening, please try Card Hedge out. I use it all the time. It's great. You can try it for free, and I think you'll like it.
And also, like, I appreciate the Card Hedge stuff and the love, but at the same time, people, you got to go check out my card post, and I'm going to give you a little user, review live right here on this podcast.
Do it.
I'm never one that is going to poo-poo someone's like entrepreneurship and things like that. I'll always try something out, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Right? This site, I really feel. And I'm not saying this because you're sitting here. I can show you text messages where I said the same exact thing. With the market, the way it's gone, and the uncertainties people have of their values and things like that, with your subscription fee the setup you have there, it's cheap. What is it, $9 a month or something like that, right?
Starts, yeah.
To be verified or whatever it is you're paying now. So yeah, you can still get dirt bags, but like it starts to go down when it's not free anymore.
Exactly.
And then you can squeak a little bit more value out of your cards when you're trading, because like Mark and I were willing to give a little bit more on each end in our trade because we're trading. We're not really haggling over dollars. It's like, oh, yeah, you know what? I don't really want that card. And you know what? Here you go, buddy. And whatever.
Yep.
It's
Super
an
easy.
easier medium or avenue, whatever you want to call it, I reshaped my entire collection off that trade. Reshaped it. I got rid of a lot of hockey, and I brought in a good amount of baseball and a good amount of football.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what I wanted to do. And had I had to wait for those things to sell, I'd still probably have half of them, and I'd be sitting here, and you get the low ball offers and this and that and things. But the trade piece is huge because now you're able to move those cards the way you've set your site up with, like, it's a social site. You're allowed to put your own links and whatever you have, and your Twitters and your Instagrams, your eBay feed. I put the Card Hedge website on mine. It's just I think it's a really, excuse me, really awesome thing for collectors to get involved with, and you should try out my card post as well. And
Thank you.
Low risk, high reward type situation.
Exactly. I mean, by the way, first of all, it's totally free to join if you just want to browse the marketplace and buy cards. You can buy for free. It doesn't cost you anything. But if you want to sell and trade, that is where the subscription comes in. I appreciate the kind words. And, I've been getting a lot of feedback from some members today, or not today, but in the last couple of days, just around like this completely changed the way I do deals or the way I think about moving the cards that I have or mixing up my PC, like you said. Or where people are doing a trade for the first time ever because we've made it so easy. So, So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, man. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
I think I would love to. You kind of mentioned the fees. I'd love to maybe just wrap this up with just a couple of new things on my card post. I try not to make this about my card post.
Absolutely.
Doing deals, but some of the cool things we are doing. So we had an amazing experience doing a giveaway in May that was very focused around doing trades. So anyone who did a trade got an entry into our giveaway. That was super exciting and fun. This month we have a June giveaway, which is for any transaction, whether you buy a card, sell a card, trade a card. Again, every transaction gets you an entry into our May giveaway. There's some cool prizes for the winner who gets chosen, which is 2019-20 OPG Platinum Hockey Hobby Box. We got a Zion case in there, one of their cool Color Splash cases. 3-month free subscription, either given to the winner or added to their existing membership of My Card Post, as well as My Card Post T-shirt. And this is also a great time to mention that JD, unprompted, reached out to me recently and said that, hey, you can add 3 months of free Card Hedge access to our giveaways in the future. So thank you for that.
Premium access for 3 months.
Yeah. And a couple other key things. So May, we rolled out a bunch of new features. You mentioned that we added the trades, which made trading so much easier. The total value of the trades really made the negotiation easier. So we added that in the deals. We also rolled out our verified seller program, which is, if you've been a seller on the marketplace for 3+ months and you've done 25 successful deals, you can submit to get verified seller status, which is just another layer of protection for our members to kind of go in and say, okay, this person's legit. They've done a lot of deals. Like, I feel very comfortable doing transactions with them. That was very cool and exciting. We also added the ability to zoom into the cards. That was something that was missing for a little while there. Those raw cards, you want to zoom in those corners. So we added that. And the last piece you mentioned, which was fees, which is something that's interesting. It's not here yet. Really I did share yours with you, by the way, privately. But coming next week, every seller on My Card Post is going to be able to see how much money that they've saved in fees just on the transactions that they've done in the My Card Post marketplace alone. We'll have a global number as well. Just really cool. Just a very quick at a glance. Just to show you for $9 a month how much money that you can actually save doing trades and sales. So.
I mean, I can share mine. In limited sales, I've done a little bit more trading, but in limited sales, I've already saved $300. That's crazy.
Amazing.
Crazy.
And probably just in a few months,
one sale on eBay, and I'm like, damn, they just took 300.
I'm not throwing shade anywhere, but you know,
No, I
that's
am.
very
I
cool.
am. That's okay. I am.
Yeah. Well, cool.
But no, that's great, man. Good stuff. Good stuff.
It's going to be exciting. I think people are going to really love to see, like, I think they're going to be surprised. Some people, I mean, I've seen some of the numbers. I think some people are going to be surprised, like, holy crap, I've saved that much money already.
Yeah.
We'll write a blog post on it, but it should be, you know, maybe early next week. We should have that rolled out. So that's one of the features that's coming that I'm willing to share publicly. So,
right. Cool.
Anyways, JD, man, I want to say thank you. Really appreciate it. It's great having you on. Again, big fan of Card Hedge. I'm a big fan of you guys. You know, we've become really good friends here over the last 8 or 9 months that we've gotten to know each other. So thank you for doing this. And if you guys have any comments, you know, feel free to add them in the show. But this is going to be a wrap for this one, and we'll see you guys on episode 3. All right. Bye now.